everyone. I hope, thank you so much again for tuning in to another episode of Fahrenheit TV. I hope that you found some great inspiration listening to Tufts University Professor Dr. Unakonga. We are so excited to have her on the show. Next, we are talking to an incredible artist who actually joined us on the show back in January of this year. Her name is Amber Irene, and she is an incredible, multi-talented artist. And, you know, in honor of Women's History Month, again, we are honoring two amazing queens. And I am so excited to welcome her to the show. So, coming to our couch right now is Amber Irene, a.k.a. Saint Vaughn. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you again for coming back, because in January we got to witness you performing with Sophia. So shout out to Sophia.
Yeah, Sophia.
And I'm so excited to have you back here. And you go by the name of Saint Vaughn is your stage name. So can you tell us first, before you talk about your artistic journey, how did you come up with that name? What inspired you to come up with that stage name?
So the stage name Saint Vaughn comes from a little bit of my upbringing and also the type of music that I gravitate to. My favorite type of music is jazz music, as you see.
Yes,
I have the upright bass, and my favorite singer is Sarah Vaughan. She's an incredible singer.
Yeah,
she sings
she is.
one of my favorite standards called Tenderly. So I got Vaughn from her name, and Saint, I grew up in a really Kojic background, a very religious background, so it comes out and communicates in a lot of my writing. A lot of my writing is very, biblically inspired or seraphic, or just things that are of the nature of like heavenly creatures. So
So that's awesome. Yeah, I like the way it came together, and it makes sense. It goes with your whole like aura and everything about you.
Thank you.
So can you tell us a little bit about your artistic journey? What made you want to become an artist? And I know you're a Berkeley music student as well. So what got you into that path of going into music and just exploring, your creativity that way?
Yes, I was on Berkeley for a minute. So what kind of inspired me to become an artist is I grew up, like I said, in a Kojic household, but my father was a music minister.
Oh, wow, that's so awesome,
Yeah, so ever since a young age, I was always around music, and he was always producing in the house.
Yeah.
And when I went to school, I found one of my most important outlets was through music. I got recruited to be in the orchestra.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. That's good that it was like in the household and your environment all the time.
All the time. So whenever it was time to communicate, or any time we had like opportunities to be creative at my school, it always came out through music. And once I joined the orchestra, it kind of just snowballed from there. Orchestra, bass, singing, kind of came together.
And like, it's so cool that you play the bass, because I don't know a lot of women that play the bass. Like, so what like made you gravitate towards that instrument? It's a huge instrument. It's beautiful, and you play beautifully. I mean, we got to witness it back in January. So what made you want to like continue with that?
Well, when I started off in the orchestra, I originally didn't want to play the bass.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh,
that's so funny.
I didn't want to at all. I wanted to play the violin, and I was so much taller than all the other students.
Yeah.
And there was nobody playing the bass, so my teacher begged me to play.
It's like, please,
Literally,
Amber,
yes.
come on.
I was like, well, I guess so. And from there, I just kind of stuck with it. I kind of fell in love with the orchestra and that whole background, and I realized a lot of open doors came from me playing the bass.
Yeah.
So it took me a lot farther than I thought, so I figured I shouldn't let it go.
And I'm glad that you haven't let it go. So do you mix that instrument with other instruments in your music? Like, do you like play that, and like I know you play the guitar as well. So do you like always make sure that you have a little bit of bass in when you're doing songwriting, or?
It depends on what I'm doing. So if I'm writing songs, it really depends on the moment or the mood that I'm in, or which one is more accessible. But for performing, I'm trying to incorporate all the things I do nowadays. Singing and playing the guitar, and also the bass to the best of my ability. It's kind of tricky, but I'm trying to master it.
No, and I know that you are mastering it, because I've seen you do it a little bit. So I'm like, you have a lot of talent. And so you talked about songwriting, which I think is awesome that you write your own music. So if your song was like a recipe, per se, what ingredients would you need for it to be like a hit song or a Saint Vaughn type of vibe?
Saint Vaughn type of song. Well, I feel like ingredients for a song would really be, from my perspective, something that moves you, some inspiration, maybe like an experience that you've had, or a memory, or a flower that is a little bit brighter than the other ones, something that inspires you. And then lyrics. Lyricism is my favorite. Writing is my favorite overall.
Yeah.
So lyrics, inspiration, and I say passion.
Yes.
A lot of people think that, you know, there's a certain like recipe, like you got to make these chords and these power chords you got to use and it's going to be a hit and you got to use these catchy phrases. But I feel like people really connect to when you connect to your music.
Yes, that's
So I
true.
think that's important.
I think that's so dope that you said that, because I think that's what makes timeless music. A lot of the artists that I look up to write timeless music, like Bob Marley, Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
like I could
I
keep
love
going and
Michael
going and
Jackson,
going, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's so cool that you said that, and so important to like also connect with your music as an artist. So I think that's awesome.
I think that's the recipe.
So other than like jazz, is there any other genres that you like to listen to or write songs about?
Yeah, I like a lot of different genres. I like classical music because when I started playing the bass, that was what I came into. So I really do enjoy classical music. I also enjoy folk music.
Oh, that's
Folk
cool.
music,
Yeah, and it's good that you're keeping that around, because there's not a lot of people, you know, talking about folk music all the time. So it's good that you like that. Yeah.
Yeah, folk, soul. I love oldies.
Yes.
Like Sam Cooke is one of my favorite
Oh my
artists.
gosh.
Yeah, I love 30s
Amazing.
and 40s era.
Yeah.
So
I saw the documentary on Netflix and I was like, oh man, I didn't know about all this about his life. But
Yeah.
he's an incredible soulful singer. You could tell that it came from like the heart.
yeah,
I
it's
love it.
very inspirational. I'm very inspired by that song.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that in one of my sets later this
Oh,
week.
that's awesome. That's so excited. So I also had another question to you before we go on a quick little break. So I know Flint, Michigan, you've lived in a few places, right? So Flint, Michigan is one of the places that you grew up in. And I know the water crisis is something that they continue to talk about in the media. So how have you dealt with that as a person growing up there and as an artist? Like, have you used your music to like, you know, I guess be therapeutic in a way for you, kind of to deal with that? Because I know that hits home, that hits family, that hits friends, so that's something personal.
It does, yeah. It's very personal. I don't think I've been able to channel that as an experience and as personally as it hits me, because I still have family right now that stays in Flint.
Wow.
And I feel like whenever I write, I go through certain phases of channeling and emotion. Really, when you write, you got to really delve into that time period, or at least I do. I delve into that time period, that dialogue, that experience. And I haven't quite had the time to do that, but I would love to do that. And I feel like when it comes time to where I'm at a realization and kind of being able to be active in my community and kind of cope with everything that's happening, I'll be able to communicate it through my artistry.
That's awesome.
Yes.
And I know that, like, I could tell, like, since it's something personal, is it, you also grew up in Ferguson. Sorry, I have like so many questions, but you also grew up in Ferguson. I know the Mike Brown thing was also a big thing there. So like having all of those, you know, as an artist, is it like you said, there's something that you would want to talk about in the future, but how do you deal with it now? Like, you know.
So yeah, actually, since St. Louis is one of my more recent locations, St. Louis, Ferguson County in St. Louis, I do have quite a few songs about police brutality. That have really inspired me. Every time I go back home, it's just a very different shift of atmosphere. It's a shift of people, you know. So every time I go back home, I tend to write music that's very politically loud, I would say. Maybe not correct, but politically loud. And so a couple of songs that I have coming up are about Ferguson and St. Louis, and just the unfortunate fact that race is such a
it's still an issue in this country. Yeah,
it's
for
an
sure.
issue. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, speaking of that, it makes me think of like Nina Simone's quote when she said, "It's an artist's duty to reflect the times." And it obviously seems that you're doing that as an artist. Do you agree with that statement? Like, how do you feel about her saying something like that?
I completely agree with that. Yes, because as an artist, you have a voice.
Yes.
You have influence. You know, your voice is your power.
Yep.
So if you're speaking and you're an artist that relates to a specific struggle or represents a certain people, I feel like you should be able to use your voice and stand up for those people and stand up for who you identify with.
Yes.
I feel like if you don't at least speak up for what you stand for in your music, I wonder what you're speaking about.
Yeah, that's true. I love that. Wow. So we're going to leave it at that, because that was just powerful the way you said that. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about Saint Vaughn and witness her incredible performance, so stay tuned.
Fahrenheit TV.
Hi everyone, thank you again for coming and tuning in to another episode of Fahrenheit TV. We are speaking with the incredible multi-talented artist Saint Vaughn, and right before the break we were talking a little bit about your journey as an artist and what inspired you to write music and really get into your craft of creating music. And you have an event coming up this weekend, which I'm so excited to be going to on Saturday. Can you tell us a little bit about your event and the music you're going to be performing and how people can get tickets and stuff to it?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this event is a multi-artist event. This is through Out of the Blue Art Gallery.
Nice.
It's an art gallery that used to be having a location in Cambridge, but now they're opening a newer location where they're inviting artists to kind of come and bring people to and see the gallery and also enjoy the art as artists from artist music people.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the event, and it is this Saturday. Doors open at 6:30, and you'll be seeing me. I'll be doing some of my originals. And I will also be doing some of the jazz that I talked about and a couple of Sam Cooke songs. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh my God. So how are you feeling? Are you excited? I know it's obviously not the first time doing a solo performance, but how do you feel when you get on stage? You have a routine before you get on stage, like I got to do this and this to make sure that I'm, prepared for my performance, prepared for the people?
Well, it's a new experience for me doing a solo act because usually, I just play bass or I do some other background things, but I haven't really played the bass and sang as much as I'd like to. So
nice.
This one is a bit new. I have to find a new way to hype myself up. I probably would listen to some of my favorite songs to really just calm my nerves. And, get into my whole persona.
Oh, that's awesome. And I'm so excited that you said that you're trying out this as a new, like a solo artist. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's very new.
Yeah, but it's awesome because it's a new year, some new beginnings. It's spring, so you're blossoming. I think that's dope. So how do people get tickets to the show?
So you can get tickets at the door, but you can also go to www.afton.com/Saint Vaughn, and there you'll find my artist page, and you can buy tickets online. So you can get them online or at the door.
Awesome. So I know you're going to hit the Fahrenheit TV stage and perform some of your beautiful music. So is there an album or that you're working on right now, or a way for us to listen to your music, digitally?
Yes. So I'm working on an EP right now.
Ooh.
My single's coming out this April, which is right around the corner.
Yes.
Yeah. April 29th is when my single is coming out, and then May is my EP release. Tentative date.
That's so excited. I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you.
Thank
so
you.
can you tell us a little bit about what the album is or the name of it, or we just have to wait until you release it?
You kind of got to wait,
Okay.
but the single I can tell you about is called The Birthday Song, and it's a song about an experience I had maybe a couple years ago when I moved to Boston.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, that's coming out, and the album or the EP rather, is a little bit about, it's called Humanize. That's type of the project that I'm thinking of delving into, and it's about finding the humanity in a world that seems a little bit disconnected from each other and from communication and passion and being a human.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you're doing that through music, because music is a universal language. So I think that's awesome that you're doing that. So, and you said that comes out April 29th?
The single, the birthday.
Yeah, the single.
Yeah.
Okay, April 29th, and then May 1st.
That's
awesome. So how do we get access to that? Do we follow you on social media? Can you tell us how to connect?
So
with
my
you?
social media, you can find me at Amber Irene 3 on Instagram. There will be all the links there. I have a SoundCloud where you can find Amber Irene as well, and also on Facebook, same name, universally Amber Irene.
Awesome.
You can look up and find my next show dates, any ticket information, or be waiting for my next release.
Oh, well, I'm so excited for this upcoming single and this EP. I can't wait to see you perform on Saturday. I hope that you guys will be there with me. And before you hit the stage, I just have one last question. So it's Women's History Month. What does that mean to you?
Women's History Month is a time to really recognize the women that have contributed to us being here today. Us today as women, we have so much power and so many rights and so much access to things that many women, maybe even 10, 20 years ago, didn't have access to. So I feel like it's a time to remember and appreciate those people that walked the paths they did to kind of pave the way to where we are now, and also to be loud advocates for what we do now as artists or as doctors or as poets or as anything.
Well, I'm so excited that you're here, your presence is here, and that you're making a path to greatness yourself. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And you're going to perform for us, so I'm so excited about that. So welcome to the stage is going to be Saint Vaughn after this short break. Don't miss it. She's going to be performing some beautiful songs, much needed inspiration. Stay tuned.
Fahrenheit TV.
If there was ever a man that was generous, gracious, and good, that'd be my granddad, the man. A human being so true that he lived like a king, 'cause he knew the true treasures in life to be devoted to, and always there for me, so I'd be unashamed and free. If there was ever a man generous, gracious, and good, that'd be my granddad, the man. A human being so true that he lived like a king, 'cause he knew the true treasures in life to be devoted to, and always there for me, so I'd be unashamed and free. And free. And free.
Fahrenheit TV.
Who don't got the magic in their roots? 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 Back up off me, for you get smashed. How dare you tell me that I'm too black? My hair's too nappy, but I call them kinks. And I don't care what you all think. Who don't got the magic in their rules now? From your mommy and your daddy and your grandpa, you all got the magic you can't choose. 'Cause you're all just like me, and I'm just like you. I step outside and you're looking at me funny, 'cause I bought my car with my own money. You pull me over and I ask why. Driving while black is a heinous crime. Who don't got the magic their rules now. From your mommy and your daddy and your grandpa, you all got the magic you can't choose. 'Cause you're all just like me, and I'm just like you, and I'm just like you, and I'm just like you. Where's my freedom, my liberty? If the system makes me scared to breathe, a breath of my own country's air, double cross me and call it fair. Who don't got the magic in their rules now? From your mommy and your daddy and your grandpa, you all got the magic you can't choose. 'Cause you're all just like me, and I'm just like you, 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 and I'm just like you.
Fahrenheit TV. Fahrenheit TV.